I am your host, Michelle Jackson, and I am a little embarrassed because this episode, the episode that I'm about to share with you, I actually recorded in November. But as we all know, we had the election, and to be honest, the election kind of knocked me on my ass and really just, it was a hard last 4, 5, 6 months. Ironically, this is one of the best interviews I did last year. Ben is so interesting. He's doing amazing stuff with his friends and colleagues with their business. I am so excited to share this. I know he's probably gonna be shocked that I actually shared it because he had reached out and wondered when it was gonna go live, and I was like, it's going live, and then it didn't. I typically do not do that, but I did have some pod fade, which I talked about in last week's episode. I am really excited to share this, and so I hope you enjoy.
Welcome to Square State, an audio production of Colorado Love Hub, a website about all things Colorado. I'm your host, Michelle Jackson. I grew up here and look forward to sharing the good, the bad, and the awesome of this great state. Don't forget to subscribe so that you're always in the loop when new or bonus episodes are shared. Hey everybody, welcome to Square State, your podcast about all things Colorado. I am actually sitting outside because it's a ridiculously warm day in November. This is not normal. But anyway, I am very excited to speak with a Colorado native, which is almost like a unicorn sighting. So I was really excited when I randomly met him. He is doing some really cool stuff with business partners who I think probably are childhood friends as well. And I thought it would be fun to touch base, learn about what he's doing, and support his projects as well. I'm not sure why this car keeps honking. The person is no longer by the car, but that's okay. So ignore the car noise. So Ben Thomson, introduce yourself, and I'm so happy to have you joining me today.
Yeah. Thanks for having me. And like you said, my name is Ben Thomson, and basically I'm one of the co-founders, co-owners of a few different companies in Denver. So the first company being Belong Designs. We're an action sports apparel brand. The second being Flow State Marketing, local marketing company that helps with white label clothing to, website design, graphic design, everything in between. And the third being Denver Munchies, which is, food rating and basically just a glorified Instagram account that goes through and reviews different, local food groups in Denver. Yeah.
So I kind of want to know about the beginning. So how did you, if you could introduce the names of your co-founders as well, your business partners, and then just talk about how you guys got started with your businesses, because they're all a little different. I've actually been in your store in Rhino, and I loved it, and which I didn't know at the time that I met you, so that was kind of cool. So just kind of talk about how these business ideas got started, and you guys are pretty young, so it's kind of cool that you're young entrepreneurs, and just kind of go from there.
Awesome. Yeah, sounds great. So my business partners, the first partner is Seamus McNutt, second Mark Grubbs, and then myself, Ben Thomson. And we basically we started out at the School of Mines, so we're all mechanical engineers by trade.
Oh,
and,
nice.
Yeah, we were not your typical clothing store founders, but we were doing mechanical engineering there at the School of Mines over in Golden. And, we met each other freshman year. Within the first week, we were actually pretty much all neighbors in the freshman dorm. And, hit it off right away, had, a friendship that turned into pretty much a brotherhood, throughout the college experience. And, progressing through that friendship and, in and out of mischief and other things, we, came to realize our senior years, we started applying for jobs in the engineering field, but that just wasn't our path. It didn't seem fulfilling at that time for us to, go down a road where we would be another number at a desk or, another, wheel in the grand system there. So we basically had job offers lined up, that would have paid out way better than what we pay ourselves now. doing engineering, and so we chose instead to develop a new concept, and that was Belong Designs, the apparel brand. And the whole mantra of that is follow your passion, do what you love, find where you belong. And, us being millennials, we're kind of part of the lost generation, so to speak. And so when we came up with this ideology, it was, all-encompassing. Find those moments when nothing is on your mind of what you're doing right at that second, and that's where you belong. So, we started that, and we bought 50 T-shirts. They were mediocre quality at best, but the ideology was good, and so people bought into that. Yeah, and, it spitballed from there. We started seeing the interaction with not just the product, but the ideas, and, use that momentum to change our minds from going down a corporate route to starting our first business. And so we made it a legal entity, built our own website from scratch, put as much sweat equity into it as you could, and took day jobs at the same company working project management so that we could do that at night for the 2 or 3 years to really get it on its feet to the point we could go full time.
What would you say has contributed to your success so far? Like, what is it? The business atmosphere? Is it the product itself, or is it the people that you've connected with and surrounded yourself with?
I mean, I would say it has to do with, everything. I think that with the competition out there for business, if you don't hit all of those things that you mentioned, I think that it's a lot harder to be successful. So I think we quickly developed our products into being, in my personal, biased opinion, some of the best out there for what we make. But, in addition to that, it's the incredible people that help you when you would never expect they would, to, having some of the best business partners on the earth, to just, putting in the time and the passion. I think people see your passion for what you're doing, and if you start for a reason that you believe in, people want to be a part of that. They resonate with that, whether it's their passion or not. They see that drive, and I think that really propels you forward.
All three of you are from Colorado originally, correct?
Yeah.
Why did you guys decide to stay here and grow your brand here?
Honestly, all of us, we've come to love Colorado. It's been one of those things. We all grew up here, but, outside of the weed industry, there's this huge outdoor enthusiastic lifestyle that, I think there's a lot of people in Colorado that are actively pursuing their passions. And it was never even really a choice for us to found it in Colorado first somewhere else. It was just instinctual that we would start here. This is what we know, but it's also, I think it very much is starting to cultivate small business growth. And I don't know, there's a lot of really good people out there that are helping facilitate that change towards small business. So it just seemed like a good move for us.
Do you feel like people here are wired to buy local? I've noticed in my travels, I've traveled a lot around the U.S. I've been to 44 states. And I feel like there are certain places in the country where people are really hypersensitive to the idea of shopping local and the power of circulating their dollars a lot longer in their local economy by doing that, and just they know the people that they're buying from. So do you feel that that's been your experience, that people are really excited that you're a Colorado business, a Colorado-based business, and that you're actually from here, and that's part of the reason why they support you?
I think so. So I think there's kind of a multi-part answer to that question, because I think very much so, yes. I think Colorado has really done a good job of supporting local business, and there's a big push to go local. But I do think that, I've been to some places where it's I guess for Colorado, I think it's more quality than local. So if you have the quality dialed in, then they absolutely want to support local where they can. But I still think it's a market where if you have to be able to compete with these bigger companies on the level of quality and sometimes price point to get that business. But if you're able to do that, then people are overly receptive to it.
Could you describe how you went from the apparel business to the next one? So what was the what was the next one that you did?
Absolutely. So after Belong Designs was founded, we did that at night, and through the process of growing our own clothing line with no money, pretty much on college kid budgets, we basically had to learn how to market the company by ourselves. We built our first, few iterations of our website, learned the coding process, and, graphic design. Thankfully, even though we're all mechanical engineers, one of my business partners, Mark, who's now our creative director of all companies, he just had the knack for design, so he learned to use Adobe Illustrator and different design programs to facilitate all of our growth as a company and all the things we needed. We found a way to do it in-house between the three of us, or friends, and we got to a point where other companies started noticing the things we were doing, noticing our social media push, which was started from Seamus McNutt, who really did a good job of getting us into the community. They started seeing all these things, saying, how do I get this? How do I get designs like yours, or how do I get material like yours, or who did you go to build your website? And that very organically, naturally created our marketing company, because we didn't say, oh, we do that, you can't get that. We said, awesome, we do that, how can we help you? And so we saw this big need for people had this big need for companies that could add true benefit, or give them what they wanted on the marketing campaign side or marketing domain side. So we just naturally transitioned into saying yes and figuring out ways to fulfill their needs. And so we started Flow State Marketing to be basically another entity under the same house that could do that for other companies.
For people who are first-time entrepreneurs, what would you say is the number one way to recognize an opportunity? Because this to me is just recognizing an opportunity. Like, this came up over and over again, and you're like, wait, like, this is something we could do. So how would you advise people who are in business, and maybe they're doing one thing and then have the potential to pivot in another direction? What your advice in terms of managing those situations and recognizing opportunities like that?
It's a tricky question, because I feel like it's always going to feel like you have some opportunities to go in different directions. And I think it's very much a gut feeling when there's something that hits you more than once or twice, where you get the opportunity to say yes or no and at least try it. And I would say at that point, I think that's the time when you really decide to move on new opportunities or realize those new opportunities, is when you realize you have the option to say yes, that you can do that, and that you could, not only find a way to do it, but make it profitable, or, at least pay yourself for your time in doing so. And then, that's the crossroads right there. Once you establish that you have that opportunity, you could be like Richard Branson and say yes to everything and find a way to do it. And that opens a ton of doors. It's just based on what you want to do at that point, and if it aligns with the opportunity that presents itself.
How long did it take from starting the apparel company to now you've got a marketing company? What was the trajectory in terms of timing for that?
So we started our apparel company at end of 2013. And from there, we didn't legally make our marketing company a separate entity until January of this year, so 2016. So I'd say like 2.5 years in between the two. However, there was a point where we started saying yes and finding ways to fulfill the marketing side underneath Belong Designs until we realized it was better as its own company. So there's definitely a gray area between the two, but an actual timeline would be 2 to 2.5 years.
And now you've started Denver Munchies, and kind of talk about why that started. Like, why do this to yourself? Because there are three of you, so you have three things. Like, what's Denver Munchies? Why you started it, and what's the thought behind this project?
Yeah, absolutely. So I guess when we started out, we didn't really. It took us a minute to realize we had our first company with Belong. And, again, with Flow State. And then for, Denver Munchies, that was actually a passion side project of, one of my business partners, Seamus McNutt. It was his project to become an expert in social media, to show basically other people that would want a marketing company that, we can grow social media accounts, awareness, very rapidly, very well. And so each of us had picked an area to prove ourselves an expert in, and he had chosen social media. And so he started Denver Munchies because we all have a passion and a hunger for food. And so he started that, with the sole purpose being to grow that account and show people that we could do that for their businesses. And then, through that process, it really became a realization when we started getting hit up by, Noodles and Company, California Pizza Kitchen, Boston Market, and then all the small guys in between that really wanted influencers, that needed people to come in and, not only eat for free, but, help shed value on what they were doing to the community. And from there, it was an open door opportunity that, we couldn't say no to, with a personal passion in food. And then, the track record to prove it from Seamus's social media expertise, it just kind of became its own thing.
What is your goal process? Because I find you guys, I find this story so interesting. Like, one day I want to go to happy hour with you guys and just pick your brains and hear what your process is, because there's definitely a process here, and a lot of times with partnerships, they don't go well because people don't listen. They have different agendas. Like, how do you meet these goals and support one another, and when you have different agendas, support that too? Like, how are you so cohesive?
It's a good question. I've talked to a lot of business owners about this, because I feel like a lot of business owners end up at a point where they start in partnerships and there's differences in opinion that tear them apart, or on the opposite realm, they start by themselves and they feel isolated because you go through so many. It's always ups and downs. It's always an emotional roller coaster. Like, even if you succeed 10 times in a week, guaranteed you failed 30 before that. And so I think having business partners, not really answering your question, has helped our sanity instrumentally. Going into like our relationship, it started with a profound friendship. I mean, I look at my two business partners like they're family, because they are. And weirdly enough, we being in college, when it's more normal, we all lived together to save money on housing, and we all played sports together, and we would party together and everything in between, to the point where now we all still live together in a much bigger house.
I don't know. I hope so.
But yeah. I mean, I guess for us, it's always been very natural, because we learned how to be very not deliberately blunt with each other, but we've gained this trust that we can say what's on our mind, or express our feelings or express our interests, to the point that there's the vulnerability there, but we have the trust now where we can trust each other with that vulnerability, and it really facilitates our growth. So it's really, really helped us to have each other in that. And I think that it's relationship building, whether you're in a relationship, on the emotional side or not, whether it's business relationship, friends, to whatever else, it's still a relationship that you foster.
If you're a person, say you're a person who's just moved to Colorado, and you're starting a business, and you're a solopreneur and you're doing this thing, and what would be the first thing that you would recommend that they do?
Honestly, I think mentorship. I think that it's something that we have spent a lot of time trying to find the right mentors, not only in life but through business, and just that there's so much know-how, or there's so many things that we've tripped over, and granted they're lessons hard-earned, but they're well-learned. So I guess I would say mentorship followed with just doing it. Like, I think that a lot of people sit on the fence for way too long. They have a great idea. They have an unbelievably blinding passion, but they over-prepare for stuff, and instead of jumping in feet first and rolling with the punches, so to speak. There's a good level of planning, but at some point, action is the most important thing, and continually doing. You never stop, or you never find one way and say this is it, but you continue to adapt with the market or to technology or whatever's adaptable. You have to understand that that's the ride that you're taking. You just have to start, and then once you start, you keep pedaling, so to speak.
I want to switch gears a little bit to, actually, as I'm talking to you, I realize that I'm also going to use part of this interview in my other podcast, which is about entrepreneurship. But I want to switch gears and talk about just Colorado life, because really this is a podcast about all things Colorado and highlighting business people, places, things, just, the whole thing. What is surprising to you when you talk to people around the U.S. who are, probably using your services now or moving here, like new friends who've moved here? Like, what's the number one thing that surprises you in terms of their perception of life in our state?
Yeah, I think it's amazing because I don't think it used to be this way, but people now look at Colorado as this incredible place to be, but also the people, like every person that I've met that comes in from the surroundings that you described, they say that people are nicer here, and I've always lived here. We all grew up here, so I've never known anything different. But I guess how people genuinely treat each other, I've come to learn is pretty rare to find that people genuinely treat each other well in Colorado, and it really facilitates like a good feeling for most people coming through Colorado or experiencing it for the first time, or living day in and day out. I think it's pretty beautiful to say that.
Since I grew up here, I would have to agree. I think that people here are pretty great, but I'm biased, and so I that's part of why I do this podcast, because I'm biased and I've had one experience. Maybe there's these other experiences out there that are different. What is the one thing you wish people would stop assuming about, people in Colorado life?
I guess this is very much from a personal standpoint, not speaking, for our businesses, but I think everybody realizes this the moment they're in Colorado, but there's a lot of dogma in the sense of what you would see for Amsterdam, which is also a beautiful city. But I think that's like the number one thing for me from a personal level, that, I don't like talking to people in other states or countries, and the only thing they resonate with is, oh, well, I love smoking weed, so I think, I want to go there, I want to move there because like weed is my lifestyle, and I understand that lifestyle, but I think that there's so much more to be had in Colorado. There's so much more it offers that, when people are here, I think they realize that very fast. But that'd be the one thing that I guess on global perception, I would love to see balance out more with the outdoor enthusiastic lifestyle that's here as well.
Does that perception affect your business? Like, do you ever find that people are reluctant to work with you because of that? Like the idea that maybe we're all smoking a bowl like during break? Has that affected your ability to grow your business outside of the state?
No, not for us at all.
Good.
I think that there's a good understanding of the difference between the two. We've had zero issues with that, and I think that's not something to fear at all.
I've definitely had people ask about it who are interested in moving here, and so I think that that's a good thing for them to hear, because maybe they want to start a business or have family or what have you, and no, we're not all smoking up.
Yeah.
So that's why we're having a coherent conversation right now.
I mean, I can't like say there's, I guess I can't speak much to it, because some of the most intelligent people I've met have been high in most of my encounters with them, but I agree with that sentiment. I think that there's a lot more here.
So back to Denver Munchies, what's your favorite place to eat? Like, what was the best place that you guys have reviewed so far?
So again, this is biased because each of us go to different places, and so I'm sure my business partners or influencers would speak differently. But recently, I went to a place that's actually down the street from us in the Rhino, off of Larimer and Broadway, pretty much, called Americatus. And I've eaten lunch there before. Really good food. Americatus. It was recently changed from Amerigo, and it's like a combination between American and Italian food.
Oh. I'm looking for it now. So okay.
And so I guess I've eaten lunch there a few times. Their food's always held up to very good quality. But had the fortune of eating dinner there the other night, and I would say atmosphere is the only thing that it's somewhat lacking. However, the Italian food that we ordered, pasta and different dishes, was unbelievable. I would rate it a 10 out of 10. It just hit like all of the taste that you would hope for. It was the perfect flavor, consistency, quality. It was really on point, and it was very surprising. So that would be my number one choice from a personal level.
As I very, very rarely go for Italian food in Denver because I'm always a bit leery, this is a good recommendation for me to have. So, because I actually really love Italian food, but it's not like we have the biggest Italian population in Denver. So I'm always a little, just like soul food. I don't eat it here because I'm not quite sure where I would eat it. And so you guys, that's the next thing you guys got to get on is a good soul food restaurant because I haven't had it in Denver. So we'll just leave it at that. If you were talking to a millennial or a Gen Xer who's looking to move here, what would be your number one piece of advice? It could be about anything.
You said a millennial. I'm sorry, I missed the second part of what you
said.
Or
a Gen Xer. So, anyone up to about 47, 40, anyone from your age to 50. We'll do it that way. What would be your number one piece of advice? It's a broad swath of people, here. But still. Yeah, I'm moving here.
Oh man, I think make a trip. I think that people don't make enough trips because there's perceived opportunity cost in not making it. But when it comes out dollars and cents, I think make a trip here and see what you think for yourself. I think that there's some locals here that don't want more people coming here, but I think it's one of those places that's been this kind of unknown gem for a long time. And I would say just make a trip and see for yourself. I think it's a pretty incredible place.
For those people who are listening and would like to get in touch with you guys, could you share your websites as well as your social media for your different projects?
Yeah, absolutely. So to start, the first one, Belong Designs, spelled BELONG Designs, DESIGNS.com. That's the apparel brand. That's our e-commerce site, but you can also find our location in the Rhino. Come in. We're always officed underneath the Flow State sign, but it's literally one internal door away. So come in and say hi to us personally. Flow State Marketing, FLOWSTATE Marketing, all one word.com. Same deal. We're in the Rhino off of 34th and Larimer, and then Denver Munchies is purely social media, but it's the same people. minus our main guy that goes around and ranks food, more than any of us. But we're three parties under the same roof, and so if you guys come to the Rhino to see us, you check out any of our websites and find contact information. It comes directly through us, and as the owners, we try to read almost any incoming mail.
What's your goal for the next 2 to 3 years? What are you guys hoping to have happen? Have you guys had that conversation yet?
Yeah. I think we're very off the cuff, and I would say we probably plan less than some people. But I know we have different perspective goals for the different avenues of our companies and our brands. But, with the marketing company, we're trying to raise it to the next level of just, getting higher profile clients, to just perfecting all of our revenue streams for that the systems, have them all in place so that we can continually grow that company and hire more locally. And then with the apparel brand, we have a 5-year goal of becoming an international brand where you can look at our logo, which is like a little mountain next to a bee, and you can see that anywhere in the world. And we're hoping 5 years from now, most people will look at that and say, belong, what do you love? What's your passion? And so that's kind of our goal, is to inspire that type of change.
Are you reaching out to snowboarders and runners and just different people to rep your brand?
Yeah, we have an athlete program, so we sponsor, some of the most incredible people that I've had the pleasure of meeting, on all different fronts from different action sports mainly. But with Belong Designs, we do sponsor for that brand, and we have about, ranging between 10 and 20 athletes, depending on where we're at and, what's realistic for our current economic situation on just, good vibes for clothing and some stuff in between. But those people are the true go-getters. When you look at them, they're following their passion because of the things they do.
And finally, my last question. What's your favorite spot in Colorado? You're like, I don't want to share.
I know. That's a tough one. Man, I think that's really hard. I think it's inspired by the people around you. But not to dodge your answer, there's I actually don't know the park's name, but there's a park in Boulder that is up it's up the canyon in Boulder. No, not Chautauqua. And I think it's...
Is it Evan G. Fine?
It is.
That one's great. In the summer, that one's hilariously fun.
Yeah, it's so small, but it's a good place to find peace and kind of like the calm, you know?
Do you ever climb up to those red rocks?
Oh, yeah. Absolutely.
Awesome. Well, Ben, thank you so much. I absolutely loved this interview. You dropped a whole bunch of value. I hope that, not even I hope, I look forward to just all of the success that I think is coming your way. You guys are hustling. And I think that you're a testament to the idea of you don't have to focus on just one thing, but that the things you focus on, you rock out and you just work like a dog and make them happen and have faith. So thank you so much for dropping by, like virtually sort of on the phone. And I just wish you guys continued success. I do believe that we'll be seeing a lot of you and hearing great things from you in the years to come.
Awesome. Yeah, well, thank you so much, too, and thanks for helping us share the word. Appreciate it. So hope you have a good day, and thank you.
Thank you for listening to today's episode of Square State. Sign up for the Welcome Mat, a weekly podcast recap that also includes deals, coupon codes, and up-to-date information on what's happening in Colorado. The link is included in the show notes below. Email me at coloradolovehub@gmail.com. That's Colorado Love, L-U-V, hub@gmail.com for show ideas, comments, or sponsorship queries. As always, life is better at a mile high.